The penthouse sits on the 53rd floor, above the noise and chaos of the city. I've watched the world change from these windows for decades, the skyline growing taller, brighter, more intrusive. Tonight, rain taps against the glass like impatient fingers, creating rivulets that distort the city lights into smears of neon and shadow. The drops catch the ambient glow from below, momentarily shining like liquid diamonds before continuing their journey downward. My reflection is barely visible in the darkened glass, just as I prefer it. The less I see of myself, the less I remember what I've become. The living room remains unlit, save for a single antique lamp in the corner casting a sphere of amber that doesn't quite reach the ceiling. I've never needed much light. My eyes adjusted to darkness centuries ago, when candlelight was the height of illumination. The furniture is minimal, expensive but Spartan, leather and mahogany that has outlived several human generations, but represents merely a fraction of my existence. The rain intensifies, drumming harder against the windows. The scent of ozone and wet concrete rises from below, carried upward by thermal currents. I can smell the city breathing. Exhaust fumes, restaurant kitchens, perfumes, sweat, blood. Always blood, pulsing beneath the skin of 8 million people. A symphony I've learned to tune out, most nights. Arthur moves silently behind me, arranging the mail on the marble-topped desk. His heartbeat is steady, familiar, 62 beats per minute. He's served me for 23 years, and in that time, his pulse has never quickened in my presence. Not even when he's witnessed things that would drive others to madness. "The usual correspondences, sir," he says, his voice carefully modulated. "Financial statements, invitations to gallery openings, the quarterly report from your holdings in Europe." I don't turn from the window. Nothing of interest then. There is one item that seems unusual. Something in his tone makes me pivot slowly. Arthur stands with perfect posture, his lined face betraying nothing, but his fingers hover over a small envelope placed apart from the others. Plain white, slightly crumpled at the corners, addressed in purple crayon. "What is that?" I ask, though my senses have already catalogued its anomalies. The paper smells of peanut butter and grape jelly, of plastic toys and fabric softener, of youth so pure it makes my ancient teeth ache. Arthur clears his throat. "A letter, sir. Hand-delivered to the building's front desk this afternoon." My feet make no sound as I cross the polished floor. I lift the envelope between two fingers, turning it in the lamplight. The address is written in large, uneven letters, the kind formed by a hand still learning the mysteries of penmanship. There is no stamp, no return address. Just my name and the building number. How did a child know where to find me? The question emerges as a whisper, though I meant it to be merely a thought. "I've taken the liberty of inquiring with security," Arthur replies. "Apparently, a young girl and her mother visited the building today. The child approached the desk while her mother was speaking with someone in the leasing office. The girl claimed she was delivering a letter to the king who lives at the top." A chill slides down my spine, ancient and familiar. The sensation that preceded hunts in medieval forests. The feeling that whispered warnings before witch trials and inquisitions. I've survived 5 centuries by heeding such warnings. "The king who lives at the top," I repeat, tasting the words. They carry an innocence that feels foreign on my tongue. The envelope's seal parts easily beneath my finger. Inside is a single sheet of paper, folded 3 times. I withdraw it slowly, aware that Arthur has retreated several steps. giving me privacy while remaining within call. The paper unfolds to reveal more purple crayon, accompanied by stick figures and what appears to be a castle drawn in the corner. The scent intensifies, the pure, untainted aroma of childhood, of blood that has never known fear or corruption. My gums tingle, a Pavlovian response I've spent centuries mastering. I swallow hard and focus on the childish scrawl. "Dear King," I read aloud, my voice unexpectedly rough. "My name is Chloe. I am 7. Mom says there is no king in the tall building, but I saw you watching from the top. You look sad. Kings shouldn't be sad. You can come to my birthday. It's on Saturday at 4 Hanu. We have cake, from Chloe." Below the signature is an address, carefully printed in the same purple crayon, and a crude drawing of what might be a birthday cake with candles. Arthur remains silent, but I hear his heartbeat quicken slightly, 70 beats per minute now. He knows, as I do, that this is not merely unusual, it is impossible. I place the letter on the desk with deliberate care, as though it might crumble to dust beneath my fingers like so many ancient documents I've handled through the centuries. The child's invitation sits incongruously among financial statements and formal correspondences, a splash of purple crayon amid the monochrome of my existence. "Have you ever seen me from the street, Arthur?" I ask, still facing away from him. "No, sir." His answer comes promptly. "You're careful about that." Indeed I am. The penthouse windows are treated with a film that renders them opaque from the outside during daylight hours, when I retreat to the windowless inner chambers. At night, I stand far enough back from the glass to remain invisible to the world below. I am a shadow within shadows, a ghost story whispered among the building staff. The reclusive owner who is never seen entering or leaving, who conducts all business through intermediaries. Yet somehow this child, this Chloe, has seen me. "It's a coincidence," I murmur, more to convince myself than Arthur. "The imagination of a child. Nothing more." "Of course, sir." Arthur's tone is neutral, but I detect the slight elevation in his body temperature that always accompanies his diplomatic lies. He doesn't believe in coincidences any more than I do. Not after what he's witnessed in my service. I move to the leather chair behind the desk, lowering myself into it with the careful precision of one who has broken too many fragile things with casual strength. The letter lies before me, innocent and impossible. I should destroy it. I should forget the purple crayon and the childish handwriting and the address that pulses in my vision like a beacon. The council has rules about such things, rules written in blood and enforced with fire. We do not interact with human children. We do not accept invitations to birthday parties. We do not risk exposure for sentimentality or curiosity or the momentary relief from eternal ennui. I trace one finger over the crude drawing of the birthday cake. 7 candles. 7 years of life compared to my 500. A drop in the ocean of time. "Sir?" Arthur interrupts my thoughts, his voice carefully modulated. "The council's enforcer called while you were meditating earlier. He requested confirmation that you'll attend the centennial gathering next month." The council, always watching, always ensuring compliance. The enforcer, younger than me by centuries but vicious in his dedication to our laws, has been looking for reasons to challenge my position for decades. An unsanctioned interaction with a human child would give him exactly the ammunition he seeks. "Tell him I'll be there," I reply, my voice hardening. Then, after a pause, "What else do we know about this child? This Chloe?" Arthur hesitates. "I took the liberty of conducting a preliminary investigation after the letter arrived. Chloe Davies lives with her mother, Mara, in an apartment building 6 blocks from here. The mother works 2 jobs, waitressing during the day and bookkeeping at night. The child is often alone with various sitters. And the father? Deceased. Car accident 3 years ago. I close my eyes, processing this information. A fatherless child, a struggling mother, a birthday party on Saturday, 4 days from now. The council would view this as a security risk, I say, opening my eyes to fix Arthur with a stare that has made stronger men tremble. A child who has somehow seen what should be invisible. Arthur doesn't flinch. After 23 years, he knows I would never harm him. Yes, sir. They would likely recommend immediate relocation and memory modification protocols for both the child and the mother. The thought sends an unexpected surge of revulsion through me. Memory modification is a clinical term for a brutal process, one that leaves human minds fragmented, personalities altered. Some never fully recover. I rise from the chair and return to the window. The rain has stopped, leaving the city, glistening under the night sky. Somewhere out there, a 7-year-old girl is perhaps looking up at this very building, believing a king lives at the top. For 3 nights I stand at the window, watching the address from the letter. The building is modest, brick-faced, with fire escapes zigzagging down its facade like metal veins. From my vantage point, I can see into several apartments, including the one on the 4th floor where Chloe Davies lives with her mother. I tell myself I'm assessing the threat, determining whether the child truly saw me or if this is merely an extraordinary coincidence. But the truth, which I barely acknowledge even to myself, is that I'm fascinated. In 5 centuries, no one has seen through my carefully constructed invisibility. No one has reached across the divide between my world and theirs with something as simple as a purple crayon invitation. On the 4th night, Saturday, I watch as Mara Davies transforms their small apartment into a birthday celebration. She hangs streamers from the ceiling, arranges chairs around a folding table, places a store-bought cake in the center. Her movements are efficient but tender, a mother creating magic from limited resources. Chloe bounces around the apartment in a dress with stars on it, her excitement palpable even from this distance. My enhanced vision captures details no human could perceive. The slight fraying at the dress's hem, the scuff marks on shoes too worn for a child so young, the way Mara's smile doesn't quite reach her tired eyes. At 3:45, the first guests arrive. 2 children with wrapped presents, accompanied by parents who hand Mara bottles of wine and offer tight smiles. By 4:00, there are 6 children seated around the table, paper hats perched on their heads. But Chloe keeps glancing at the door. At 4:30, as the cake is served and presents are opened, I see her whisper something to her mother. Mara kneels beside her daughter, strokes her hair, shakes her head gently. Disappointment clouds the child's face like a shadow, but she nods bravely and returns to her friends. She was waiting for me. The realization strikes with unexpected force, a physical sensation in my chest, where my heart has not truly beaten for centuries. "Arthur!" I call, not turning from the window. "Sir?" He materializes at my side, as he always does. "I'm going out." His silence speaks volumes. In 23 years, I have left the penthouse exactly 17 times, always for council business, never on a whim. "The car, sir?" "No, I'll walk." More silence, heavier this time. "Sir, the council will not know unless someone tells them." I finally turn to face him, my decision crystallizing with each passing second. "Will you tell them, Arthur?" His loyalty wages war with his fear. I can smell the conflict on him. Finally, he straightens his shoulders. "No, sir. I will not. 15 minutes later, I stand before the apartment building, dressed in the most understated clothing I own: dark trousers, a charcoal sweater, a coat against the evening chill no human would brave without protection. In my hand is a small package wrapped in silver paper, a music box from my collection, centuries old but never played, crafted by a master whose name has been lost to history. The security door to the building is propped open with a brick, convenient for birthday guests, dangerously negligent for residents. I slip inside, taking the stairs rather than the elevator. Each step brings me closer to a line I have not crossed in centuries. The council's rules echo in my mind, a litany of prohibitions. Never enter a human dwelling without strategic purpose. Never form attachments. Never risk exposure. On the fourth-floor landing, I pause. The sounds of the birthday party filter into the hallway. Children's laughter, adult conversation, music from a portable speaker. Beneath it all, I detect Chloe's voice, high and sweet, thanking someone for a gift. My hand rises to knock, then freezes mid-air. This is madness. The child cannot possibly know what I am. Coming here risks everything: my position, my security, potentially my existence if the council decides I've become a liability. I should leave, return to my penthouse and my solitude and the numbing routine of immortality. But then I hear it. A small voice closer to the door, speaking to someone. Do you think the king is really coming? Honey, we talked about this, comes Mara's tired reply. There's no king in that building. It's just offices and fancy apartments. But I saw him. He looked so sad and alone. Something breaks inside me, a dam holding back emotions I've suppressed for centuries. Before I can reconsider, my knuckles rap against the door. 3 precise taps that silence the conversation on the other side. The door swings open, and Mara Davies stands before me, her expression shifting from hostess politeness to confusion as she takes in my appearance. I know what she sees: a stranger, unnaturally pale, unnaturally still, with eyes that have witnessed the rise and fall of empires. Can I help you? She asks, positioning herself instinctively between me and the apartment interior, a mother's protective stance. But it's too late. Chloe has spotted me from behind her mother's legs, her eyes widening with recognition and delight. "You came!" she exclaims, ducking around Mara to beam up at me. "Mom, it's the king. I told you he was real." Mara's confusion deepens, her gaze darting between her daughter and me. "I'm sorry. Do we know you?" I offer my most human smile, careful to keep my teeth concealed. Julian Vane. I received an invitation. I hold up the purple crayon letter, which I've carried as proof of my right to be here. Recognition flickers in Mara's eyes. She's seen the letter before, perhaps watched her daughter write it. But suspicion quickly follows. What kind of man accepts a birthday invitation from a child he's never met? Before she can voice her concerns, Chloe grabs my hand, pulling me forward. "Come in. We have cake left." Her small fingers wrap around mine, warm and trusting. The sensation sends a shock through my system. The touch of innocent human contact, freely given, without fear or ulterior motive. And with it comes something else. Hunger, sharp and sudden, rising from the depths of my being. As I step across the threshold, accepting the child's invitation in more ways than she could possibly understand, I feel my control slipping. The scent of young blood fills the small apartment, sweet and vital. My vision sharpens, focusing on the pulse points of every human present. My teeth ache with need. What have I done? I close my eyes for a moment, fighting the crimson tide rising within me. 5 centuries of discipline cannot fail now. Not here, not with a child's small hand in mine. I focus on my breathing, an old habit, unnecessary but grounding. The hunger recedes, not gone but manageable. Thank you for the invitation, Chloe, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. I've brought you something. From inside my coat, I produce a small box wrapped in midnight blue paper with silver stars. The gift had been Arthur's idea. Children expect presents at birthdays, he'd reminded me, as if I hadn't witnessed countless such celebrations across the centuries. Chloe's eyes widen, her delight momentarily distracting me from the temptation of her pulse. Mom, look, the king brought me a present. Mara's posture remains rigid, her protective instincts clearly on high alert. I can't blame her. A stranger appearing at her door, claiming an acquaintance with her daughter. I represent every parental nightmare. How exactly do you know my daughter? She asks, her voice level but with an edge sharp enough to cut. The apartment is small but warm. Remnants of the birthday celebration linger, deflating balloons tied to chairbacks, a half-eaten cake on the kitchen counter, colorful paper plates stacked beside it. The scent of sugar and childhood permeates the space, mingling with the deeper notes of adult worry and fatigue that cling to Mara. We met in the park, I explain, choosing honesty where it serves. Near the old oak, Chloe was drawing. I was making the invitations, Chloe interjects, tugging me further into the apartment with surprising strength. And he told me stories about being a king from long ago. Mara's eyebrow arches. Did he now? Just fairy tales, I offer with a careful smile. I walk through the park often. Your daughter has quite the imagination. He has a castle and everything, Chloe continues, oblivious to the tension between adults. Can he stay for cake, Mom? Please? The floor creaks beneath my feet as Chloe pulls me toward the kitchen table. The sound reminds me of my age, of how many floorboards I've crossed in how many homes, always an outsider, always passing through. But something about this cramped apartment with its mismatched furniture and crayon drawings taped to the refrigerator feels different. It feels alive in a way my grand, empty mansion never does. Mara hesitates, then sighs. I suppose since you're already here, would you like some cake, Mr. Vane? Julian, please, I correct gently. And yes, though I've already eaten. A necessary lie. The cake would taste like ash in my mouth, but refusing would only raise questions. Chloe bounces on her toes, still clutching my gift. Can I open it now? It's your birthday, I say. I believe that's customary. She tears into the paper with abandon, strips of midnight blue falling to the worn carpet. Inside is a small wooden box, intricately carved with stars and moons. I'd commissioned it centuries ago from an artisan in Prague, kept it among my collection of beautiful, useless things. It's so pretty, she whispers, running her fingers over the carvings. Open it, I encourage. The hinges, oiled recently by Arthur, make no sound as she lifts the lid. Inside, nestled on velvet, lies a silver pendant, a crescent moon cradling a single star. Old silver, pure from before my time. I'd chosen it carefully, something beautiful but not ostentatious, something that wouldn't raise questions about its value. It's magic, I tell her, aware of Mara watching us closely. In the old stories, the moon protects dreamers and wanderers. Chloe lifts the necklace reverently. It's the prettiest thing I've ever seen. It's very generous, Mara says, her voice softening slightly, though wariness remains in her eyes. Too generous, really. It's an old family piece. I lie smoothly, gathering dust. I thought it might find better appreciation here. Mara steps closer, examining the pendant. Her scent washes over me. Coffee and drugstore perfume, and beneath it all, the warm copper note of her blood. Different from Chloe's, more complex, with hints of stress and exhaustion threading through it. I force myself to focus on her face instead, the shadows beneath her eyes, the slight furrow between her brows, the way her hair falls in waves that haven't seen a salon in months. "Let me put it on you, honey," she says to Chloe, taking the necklace. As she fastens it around her daughter's neck, I notice her hands, nails cut short, a paper cut on her index finger, a faint ink stain on her thumb. Working hands, caring hands. "Thank you," Chloe says, beaming up at me. "I'll wear it forever and ever." "You're welcome," I reply, surprised by the warmth in my voice. "Happy birthday." "Cake time?" she asks hopefully. "Cake time," Mara confirms, some of her tension visibly easing. "Why don't you go wash your hands first?" Chloe dashes off down the hallway, leaving me alone with her mother. The silence stretches between us, filled with unasked questions. "That's an unusual gift," Mara says finally, moving to the kitchen to cut the cake. "It looks antique." "It is," I admit, following her but maintaining a respectful distance. "I collect old things." "And you just happen to have an antique silver necklace to give to a child you met in the park?" The knife slides through the cake, chocolate with pink frosting, with surgical precision. "I know how it appears," I say quietly. "If you'd prefer, I can take it back." She sets the knife down, turning to face me. "Who are you, really? And why are you here?" The truth hovers on my tongue. Ancient, monstrous, impossible. Instead, I offer her the closest version of honesty I can. "I'm someone who's been alone a very long time. Your daughter showed me kindness. She reminded me of what it's like to see the world as magical, rather than merely old." Something in my voice must betray more than I intend, because Mara's expression softens fractionally. "She has that effect on people," she says. Still, most adults don't accept birthday invitations from children they barely know. "I'm not most adults," I say, a statement truer than she could possibly understand. The sound of running water from the bathroom provides a momentary backdrop to our conversation. I notice a stack of bills on the counter, the past due notices visible even from where I stand. A single mother's struggle, written in red ink and final warnings. "Do you have other children at the party?" I ask, changing the subject. Mara's smile turns rueful. "We had a few friends over earlier, just some kids from her class. They've gone home now." She gestures around the small apartment. "Not much room for a big celebration." "Sometimes the smallest gatherings are the most meaningful," I offer. She studies me, her head tilting slightly. "You talk like you're from another time." If only she knew. "I read a lot of classics," I deflect. "Occupational hazard." "And what occupation is that?" "I'm a historian of sorts. I preserve old things, old stories." Chloe bursts back into the room before Mara can question me further, her hands still damp, the silver pendant gleaming against her t-shirt. "I'm ready for cake!" We settle at the small kitchen table, Chloe chattering excitedly about her earlier party, the presents she received, the games they played. I listen attentively, asking questions, playing the role of interested adult, while surreptitiously moving cake around my plate without eating it. Mara watches me throughout, her initial suspicion gradually giving way to cautious curiosity. So you're a king? She asks during a lull in Chloe's monologue, amusement finally creeping into her voice. That's what Chloe decided, I reply. Who am I to argue with birthday royalty? He has a crown and everything, Chloe insists. He just doesn't wear it all the time because it's heavy. Very heavy, I agree solemnly. Terrible for the posture. A smile tugs at Mara's lips, the first genuine one I've seen. It transforms her face, erasing years of worry lines, illuminating her eyes. Something stirs within me. Not hunger, but a different kind of longing. I've seen countless beautiful women across the centuries, but there's something about the authenticity of her smile that catches me off guard. Do you live nearby? She asks. Not far, I say vaguely. My mansion sits on the outskirts of the city, isolated behind iron gates and centuries-old oak trees, though I travel frequently. For your history work? Yes. I welcome the fabrication. Research, acquisitions, that sort of thing. He goes to castles, Chloe adds helpfully. And haunted places. Mara raises an eyebrow. Haunted, The older the building, the more likely people think it's haunted, I explain. Creaking floors, drafty hallways, perfectly natural phenomena often interpreted as supernatural. You don't believe in ghosts, then? Mara asks. I consider my answer carefully. I believe there are many things in this world that defy easy explanation, but most hauntings have perfectly rational causes. Like vampires, Chloe says through a mouthful of cake. The word sends a jolt through me. I maintain my composure with centuries of practice, but inwardly, alarm bells ring. Vampires? I repeat, keeping my voice light. From your stories, Chloe explains. Remember? You told me about the vampire who couldn't go in the sun. Mara's eyes narrow slightly. You tell my daughter vampire stories? Fairy tales, I correct smoothly. Old European folklore. Educational, really. Every culture has its monsters. They're not all monsters, Chloe protests. Some of them are just lonely. Her innocent words strike uncomfortably close to truth. I feel exposed suddenly, as if this child can see through the carefully constructed facade I've maintained for centuries. Well, Mara says, standing to clear the plates. It's getting late. Chloe has school tomorrow. Of course, I say, rising as well. Thank you for the hospitality. No. Chloe's protest is immediate and loud. He just got here. Can't he stay a little longer? Please, Mom? Mara hesitates, looking between her daughter's pleading face and my carefully neutral expression. It's a school night, honey. Just one story? Chloe begs. A short one? The request dangles between us. I should leave. The council has strict rules about prolonged interaction with humans, especially children. Arthur will be worried. Yet I find myself reluctant to step back into the night, back into the solitude that has been my constant companion for centuries. I don't mind, I hear myself saying, if it's all right with your mother. Mara studies me for a long moment. I can almost see the battle between maternal caution and the desire to make her daughter happy. Finally, she sighs. One short story, then Mr. Vane needs to go home and you need to go to bed. Julian, I remind her gently. Julian, she concedes, and the sound of my name on her lips carries an unexpected intimacy. Chloe leads us to the small living room, patting the worn sofa cushion beside her. I sit carefully, mindful of my strength against the aging furniture. Mara takes the armchair opposite, still watching me with that mixture of curiosity and caution. What kind of story would you like? I ask Chloe. A princess story, she decides, but not a boring one where she just gets rescued. One where she does the rescuing. I smile, thinking back through centuries of folklore. I know just the one. It comes from the mountains of Eastern Europe, where the winters are long and the forests deep. As I begin the tale, a story I witnessed firsthand in the 1600s, though I present it as folklore, I notice Mara leaning forward slightly, drawn in despite herself. I modulate my voice, using the techniques I've perfected over centuries of blending in with humans, of seeming like one of them. The cadence of my speech slows, becomes more rhythmic, almost hypnotic. The princess was clever, you see, I continue, watching Chloe's eyes grow wide with wonder. She knew that the creature that had taken her brother wasn't truly evil. It was cursed, trapped in a form it never chose, forced to live in darkness. Like your vampire stories, Chloe interjects. Similar, I acknowledge, careful not to look at Mara. The princess realized that sometimes the things we fear most are the things that fear us in return. As the story unfolds, the princess venturing into the dark forest, facing the creature with compassion rather than a sword, breaking the curse with understanding rather than violence. I become aware of a shift in the room's atmosphere. Chloe has inched closer to me on the sofa, her small body radiating warmth. Mara has relaxed in her chair, her initial wariness giving way to genuine engagement. I finished the tale with the princess and her brother returning home, bringing the once cursed creature with them. And the kingdom learned that sometimes monsters are simply beings no one has taken the time to understand. Silence follows the conclusion of my story. Then Chloe yawns, the spell broken. That was a good one, she murmurs sleepily. You're quite the storyteller, Mara says, her voice soft. You should write children's books. Perhaps someday, I reply, though we both know I won't. I should be going. No, Chloe protests weakly, fighting against her drooping eyelids. You just got here. And I've overstayed my welcome, I say gently. Your mother is right. School nights are important. Will you come back? She asks, clutching at my sleeve. You could come for dinner sometime, right, Mom? Mara looks caught off guard by the suggestion. I prepare myself for her polite refusal, already formulating my gracious acceptance of it. I suppose, if you'd like to join us sometime, she says instead, surprising us both. As a thank you for the gift. Nothing fancy, just... I'd be honored, I say quickly, before she can reconsider. The words escape before I can examine the wisdom of them. The council would not approve. Arthur will be horrified. And yet, the prospect of returning to this small, warm apartment fills me with an anticipation I haven't felt in decades. Next Friday, she suggests, around 6? Perfect, I agree, rising from the sofa. Thank you for the invitation. Chloe insists on walking me to the door, despite her obvious fatigue. At the threshold, she throws her arms around my waist in an unexpected hug. The contact freezes me momentarily. Physical affection is so rare in my existence that I've almost forgotten how to respond to it. Carefully, I pat her back, hyper-aware of my strength against her fragility. Thank you for my necklace, she says, looking up at me. I'll wear it every day. It suits you, I tell her truthfully. Take good care of it. Mara appears behind her daughter, one hand resting protectively on Chloe's shoulder. Thank you for coming, she says, and I detect genuine warmth beneath the social nicety. It was unexpected, but nice. The pleasure was mine, I reply, meaning it more than I have in centuries. As I step back into the night, the door closing gently behind me, I'm struck by the strangeness of what has just transpired. In 500 years, I've maintained careful distance from humans. Necessary interactions only, brief encounters, never allowing attachment. Yet in the space of a single evening, I've accepted an invitation to return to this apartment, to spend more time with this woman and her daughter. The council would call it reckless. Arthur will call it foolish. I'm not sure what I call it. This unfamiliar feeling expanding in my chest as I walk away from the apartment building and into the darkness that has been my domain for half a millennium. For the first time in longer than I can remember, I'm looking forward to something. The week passes in a blur of anticipation and dread. Arthur's reaction to my dinner plans is predictably apocalyptic. "Have you lost your mind?" he demands, pacing the length of my study, his aging human frame vibrating with agitation. "The council has spies everywhere. If they discover you're forming attachments to humans, to a child no less." "It's dinner, Arthur," I say, feigning a calm I don't entirely feel. "A social nicety. Nothing more." "Nothing more," he repeats incredulously. 5 centuries I've served you, and never once have you accepted a dinner invitation from a human family. This isn't nothing. He's right, of course. Arthur has been with me for decades, the latest in a long line of human assistants, each one carefully selected for their discretion and loyalty. At 72, he's nearing the end of his service, though neither of us acknowledges this fact. He knows me better than anyone alive, which makes lying to him particularly pointless. "I'm curious," I admit finally, staring into the fireplace, rather than meeting his concerned gaze. "The child is unusual, perceptive. All the more reason to stay away," he argues. "Children notice things adults dismiss. They ask questions. Dangerous questions. I'm capable of handling a child's questions." "And the mother?" Arthur's voice takes on a knowing edge. "Are you capable of handling her questions too?" I don't answer immediately. Mara's face has lingered in my thoughts all week. Her cautious smile, the protective stance she took with Chloe, the weariness around her eyes that spoke of struggles she faced alone. "The mother is simply being polite," I say finally, expressing gratitude for the gift. Arthur sighs heavily, the sound of a man who knows he's fighting a losing battle. "The gift you took from the Prague collection, a piece that's been in your possession since before the American Revolution. It was gathering dust." "It was safe," he counters. "Untraceable. Now it's around a child's neck, a child who tells stories about meeting a king who might be a vampire. How long before someone notices? How long before the council hears whispers?" His concerns are valid. The Vampire Council enforces our oldest law with brutal efficiency. Maintain the masquerade, keep our existence secret from humans, or face final death. I've seen the punishment carried out. Ancient vampires reduced to ash for far less than what I'm contemplating. "One dinner," I say firmly. Then I'll distance myself appropriately. Arthur's expression makes it clear he doesn't believe me, but he nods reluctantly. "I'll prepare your excuses for the council meeting on Friday. Family emergency for your human alias. Something suitably vague." "Thank you, Arthur." He pauses at the door. "Be careful, Julian. Not just for your sake. If the council discovers this indiscretion, the humans will be considered compromised. You know what that means." I do. The council doesn't leave loose ends. The thought of Mara and Chloe facing the council's cleanup protocols sends a chill through me that has nothing to do with my undead nature. "Nothing will happen to them," I say, with more conviction than I feel. I'll make sure of it. Friday evening arrives with unexpected speed. I stand before the mirror in my dressing room, a useless habit from my human days. No reflection greets me, another vampire myth that proves inconveniently true. I straighten my tie by feel alone, wondering if it's too formal for a family dinner. The blue one, Arthur suggests from the doorway, holding out a different tie. Less funeral director, more normal human being. I accept the replacement with a nod of thanks. How do I look? Exactly like a 500-year-old vampire trying to pass as a dinner guest, he says dryly. Perhaps leave the pocket watch and smile occasionally. Not the full smile? He grimaces, mimicking fangs, the human one. I practice in the mirror out of habit, seeing nothing. I'm better? Marginally. Don't forget to take small bites, chew thoroughly, and actually swallow. The bathroom excuse only works so many times. I've perfected the art of appearing to eat over the centuries, taking minuscule portions, moving food around the plate, distracting with conversation. It's an unpleasant necessity. Human food turns to ash in my mouth, and my body will reject it violently later. But refusing to eat at all raises too many questions. I've brought wine, I say, gesturing to the bottle on the dresser. A Bordeaux from a good year. 1947 is more than a good year, Arthur observes. It's a $70,000 bottle, perhaps something less likely to raise questions about how a historian affords such luxuries. He has a point. I swap it for a respectable but less ostentatious selection from my cellar. The car is ready, Arthur informs me. I've taken the liberty of preparing a background for you, in case the mother asks questions. Julian Vane, 42, never married, PhD in European history from Oxford, independent wealth from family investments, currently working on a book about Eastern European folklore. Thorough as always, I commend him. Someone has to be, he mutters. Your phone will ring at precisely 8:30 with an emergency that requires your immediate attention, should you need an escape. That won't be necessary. Humor an old man, he insists. And Julian, try to remember that they're human, fragile, temporary. The unspoken warning hangs between us. Don't get attached. Too late, I think, but don't say. Mara opens the door before I can knock, as if she's been watching for my arrival. She's changed since our first meeting. Her hair falls loose around her shoulders, and she's wearing a simple dress rather than the worn jeans and t-shirt from before. The scent of her perfume reaches me, subtle but pleasant, mingling with the cooking smells from the apartment. You came, she says, and I detect genuine surprise in her voice, as if she half expected me to cancel. I said I would. I offer her the wine and a small bouquet of lilies I'd selected from my greenhouse. Thank you for the invitation. She accepts both with a smile that reaches her eyes. These are beautiful. Come in. Chloe's been counting down the hours. As if summoned by her name, Chloe appears behind her mother, beaming up at me. The silver pendant gleams at her throat, just as she promised. You're here, she exclaims. Mom made spaghetti because she said everybody likes spaghetti. Do you like spaghetti? I do, I lie smoothly, following them into the apartment. It looks different tonight. Tidier, with fresh flowers on the table and candles waiting to be lit. Mara has made an effort, I realize. The knowledge brings an unexpected warmth. I hope you're hungry, she says, leading me to the kitchen. I always make too much. Starving, I assure her, another necessary falsehood. Dinner progresses more easily than I anticipated. Mara is a natural conversationalist, once her initial wariness fades, asking thoughtful questions about my fabricated background. I weave truth with fiction, real historical anecdotes presented as research findings, actual memories disguised as scholarly knowledge. Chloe interjects frequently, demanding stories and asking the kind of direct questions only children dare pose. "Why don't you have kids?" she asks between bites of garlic bread. "Don't you like them?" "Chloe," Mara admonishes, "that's personal." "It's all right," I assure her. "I never found the right person to have a family with," I tell Chloe, offering a simplified version of a complex truth. How could I explain the impossibility of it? That vampires cannot reproduce, that we can only destroy life, never create it. "You could marry Mom?" Chloe suggests with a child's blunt practicality. "She doesn't have anybody either." "Chloe." Mara's face flushes crimson, mortification radiating from her. "I am so sorry," she says to me. "Kids and their filter-free observations." I laugh, genuinely amused by the child's directness. No apology necessary. It's a logical solution from her perspective. "Still," Mara says, shooting her daughter a look that promises a later conversation about appropriate dinner topics. "Let's talk about something else. How's your spaghetti?" "Excellent," I lie, having managed to consume a few small bites while moving most around my plate. "You're a wonderful cook." The conversation shifts to safer topics: Chloe's school, Mara's work as a graphic designer, my fictional book project. I find myself relaxing into the role of normal dinner guest, almost forgetting the charade until a sharp pain in my gums reminds me of reality. My fangs threatening to descend, a reaction to the proximity of human blood, to the warmth and intimacy of the setting. I excuse myself to the bathroom, locking the door and gripping the sink as I fight for control. In the mirror, nothing reflects back, a stark reminder of what I am, of the impossibility of what I'm attempting here. A soft knock at the door startles me. "Julian?" Mara's voice, concerned. "Are you all right?" "Fine," I call back, forcing steadiness into my tone. "Just a moment." I splash cold water on my face, another human habit that serves no practical purpose but helps me center myself. When I emerge, Mara stands in the hallway, concern evident in her expression. "You went pale suddenly," she says. "Well, paler than usual. Are you feeling okay?" "Just a slight headache," I assure her. "Nothing to worry about." She studies me for a moment, then nods toward the living room. "Chloe's picking out a movie. She's convinced you need to see her favorite. I told her you might need to leave soon." "I have time," I say, against my better judgment. Arthur's warning echoes in my mind, but I push it aside. "What's the movie?" Mara's smile turns apologetic. "Beauty and the Beast, the animated version. She watches it at least once a week." The irony isn't lost on me. "A classic tale," I observe. "Beauty taming the monster. Finding the man inside the monster," Mara corrects gently. "There's a difference." Our eyes meet, and for a disorienting moment, I wonder if she knows, if somehow she's seen through my carefully constructed facade to the truth beneath. But that's impossible. Humans see what they expect to see, and no one expects to meet a vampire at their dinner table. "Come on," she says, breaking the moment. "If we don't hurry, she'll start without us." We settle on the sofa, Chloe between us as the movie begins. I've seen it before, of course. I make a point of keeping up with cultural touchstones, but I watch it anew through Chloe's eyes as she recites lines along with the characters and explains her favorite scenes. Halfway through, Mara disappears into the kitchen, returning with a bowl of popcorn and 3 glasses of soda. She passes them around, her fingers brushing mine as I accept the drink. The casual contact sends an unexpected jolt through me. How long has it been since I've experienced such simple human touch without violence or fear? As the beast transforms back into a prince on screen, I feel Chloe's head grow heavy against my arm. Her breathing deepens, slows, she's falling asleep. She never makes it to the end, Mara whispers, smiling fondly at her daughter. No matter how hard she tries. It's been an exciting evening, I whisper back. Mara nods, then carefully shifts Chloe so she's lying on the sofa rather than slumped against me. She covers her with a throw blanket, tucking it around her small shoulders with practiced tenderness. The scene is so intimate, so fundamentally human, that I feel like an intruder witnessing it. Would you like some coffee? Mara asks softly, gesturing toward the kitchen. I should leave. Arthur's emergency call will come soon. The council meeting I've skipped will be ending. Every moment I remain increases the risk. I'd love some, I hear myself say. In the kitchen, Mara moves with quiet efficiency, preparing coffee while we talk in hushed tones to avoid waking Chloe. The domesticity of the scene strikes me. How ordinary it would appear to an outsider. How extraordinary it feels to me. She likes you, Mara observes, handing me a steaming mug. She doesn't warm up to people easily, not since her father left. Children are excellent judges of character, I say, pretending to sip the coffee. When did her father leave? 3 years ago. New job, new wife, new life. She shrugs, aiming for nonchalance but not quite achieving it. He sends birthday cards sometimes, calls on holidays. I'm sorry, I offer inadequately. Don't be. We're better off. She leans against the counter, studying me over her coffee mug. What about you? No tragic backstory to explain the perpetual bachelor status. I smile, slightly. Nothing so dramatic, just never found the right fit. She doesn't seem entirely convinced. You know, you never really answered Chloe's question from earlier. Which one? About whether you like children. I consider my answer carefully. I've had limited experience with them. But your daughter? She's special. Perceptive in a way most adults aren't. She sees things differently, Mara agrees. Always has. Most kids her age are afraid of the dark, of monsters under the bed. Not Chloe. She's always said the dark is where the interesting things happen. If only she knew how right her daughter is. Thank you for dinner, I say, setting down my untouched coffee. And for the movie. It's been refreshing. You make it sound like you don't get out much, she observes. I don't, I admit truthfully. My work keeps me isolated. All those old books and haunted castles? There's teasing in her voice now, a comfort level that wasn't there at the beginning of the evening. Something like that. She walks me to the door, our footsteps quiet on the worn carpet. At the threshold, we pause. That awkward moment of departure where intentions and desires hang unspoken in the air between two people. I'd like to see you again, she says, surprising me with her directness. If you want to, I mean. No pressure. The wise answer would be no. The safe answer would be no. The answer that wouldn't potentially sign her death warrant would be no. I'd like that, I say instead. Her smile is worth the risk, I tell myself. Just one more meeting. One more evening of pretending to be human, of experiencing warmth and connection after centuries of cold isolation. Good, she says softly. Maybe next time without the Disney movie and spaghetti sauce stains. I like the spaghetti sauce stains, I assure her. They're charming. She laughs, a sound I'm quickly becoming addicted to. Charming isn't the word most people would use. I'm not most people, I remind her. No, she agrees, studying me with those perceptive eyes. You're definitely not. I should leave now, before I do something foolish like touch her face or, worse, try to kiss her. But I linger, prolonging the moment, memorizing the details of her. The small scar near her eyebrow, the freckle at the corner of her mouth, the way her hair falls across her forehead. The sound of my phone breaks the spell. Arthur's emergency call, right on schedule. I should take this, I say, pulling the phone from my pocket. She nods, stepping back. Of course. Thank you again for coming. The pleasure was mine, I tell her, meaning it completely. As I answer the phone and step into the hallway, I'm already planning our next meeting, already anticipating the warmth of her smile and Chloe's enthusiastic stories. So focused on this unexpected happiness that I almost miss it. The scent that doesn't belong, the presence that shouldn't be there. I freeze, phone still at my ear, Arthur's voice a distant buzz as my senses sharpen, focusing on the stairwell at the end of the hall. The scent is unmistakable. Vampire, ancient, powerful. Counsel. And then I see him, stepping from the shadows like a nightmare made flesh. The enforcer, his black coat hanging like a shroud around his angular frame. His eyes, glacial blue and ancient, lock onto mine with predatory recognition. There is no surprise in his gaze, only cold purpose. Julian Vane, he says, voice like stone grinding against stone. The council sends its regards. My body moves before my mind can catch up, positioning itself between the enforcer and Mara's apartment door. I end the call mid-sentence, slipping the phone into my pocket. Alexei, I acknowledge him, keeping my voice steady despite the adrenaline flooding my system. I wasn't expecting a social call. His thin lips curve into something approximating a smile. This is hardly social. You've been distracted. The council has concerns. Behind me, I hear Mara's door open. My muscles tense, every instinct screaming to keep her away from this danger. Julian? Did you forget something? Her voice is light, curious. I don't take my eyes off Alexei. Go back inside, Mara. Please. Something in my tone must warn her because she doesn't argue, but she doesn't retreat either. I can feel her presence just behind me, can smell the subtle shift in her scent as concern replaces contentment. Is everything okay? She asks, her voice lower now. Alexei's gaze slides past me to fix on Mara, and I have to suppress a growl. So this is the distraction, he says, his accent thickening with disdain. How disappointingly ordinary. She's not your concern, I say, the words coming out sharper than intended. Neither of them are. On the contrary, Alexei counters, taking a single step forward. When the king neglects his duties for human entanglements, it becomes very much the council's concern. I feel Mara stiffen behind me. King? She echoes, confusion evident. Go inside, Mara, I repeat more urgently this time. Lock the door. I don't think so, Alexei interjects smoothly. In fact, I think the lady should join us. After all, she deserves to know exactly what she's gotten herself and her daughter involved with. At the mention of Chloe, a cold fury washes through me. You will not speak of the child. Alexei's eyes narrow. You've grown soft, Julian, protective of these mortals. It's unseemly. Mom? Chloe's voice calls from inside the apartment. Who's at the door? Everything happens at once. Alexei moves with inhuman speed, pushing past me toward the sound of Chloe's voice. I react instinctively, grabbing his arm and throwing him back against the opposite wall with enough force to crack the plaster. Mara gasps, stumbling backward into her apartment. "Get Chloe and stay in the bathroom," I command, not looking at her, keeping my pine eyes on Alexei as he straightens, brushing dust from his coat. "Lock the door." "Julian, what? Now! Mara!" The force in my voice startles even me. I hear her retreating footsteps, hear her urgent whispers to Chloe, hear the bathroom door slam and lock. Only then do I advance on Alexei, who watches me with cold amusement. "You would attack a council enforcer?" he asks, sounding almost impressed. "For them?" "I would do far worse," I admit, feeling the hunger rise within me, the predator awakening after decades of careful restraint. "Leave now, Alexei. Tell the council I'll contact them tomorrow." He laughs, a sound like breaking glass. "That's not how this works, Julian. The council sent me to bring you back, willingly or otherwise. Your vacation is over. I'm not going anywhere." "Then I'll have to insist." His hand moves to his coat, withdrawing a silver-tipped stake, ceremonial but no less deadly for it. "And afterward, I'll have to ensure there are no loose ends." The threat hangs in the air between us, and something in me, something ancient and terrible, breaks free. In an instant, I'm on him, one hand at his throat, pinning him against the wall. "You will not touch them," I snarl, feeling my fangs extend fully, no longer caring about maintaining human appearances. "You will not even look at them." Alexei struggles against my grip, surprise flickering across his features. He had forgotten, perhaps, that while he serves the council, I am the council, or was. The king shows his true face at last. He manages, despite my grip on his throat. "What would your pets think if they could see you now?" As if in answer, I hear a small gasp behind me. Turning slightly, I see Mara standing in the doorway of her apartment, eyes wide with shock and fear. And beside her, peering around her leg, is Chloe. "Julian?" Chloe's voice is small, uncertain. The moment of distraction costs me. Alexei drives the silver stake into my side, not a killing blow, but painful enough to make me release him. I stagger back, feeling the burn of silver against my flesh, the poison entering my bloodstream. "Mom, Julian's hurt." Chloe tries to run toward me, but Mara holds her back, her expression a battlefield of confusion and terror. "Stay back, Chloe," she warns, pulling her daughter behind her. Alexei straightens his coat, a triumphant gleam in his eyes. "Now they see you for what you are," he says, "a monster playing at humanity." The silver burns through me, weakening my limbs, clouding my thoughts. But the sight of Mara and Chloe, vulnerable and afraid, clears my mind with surprising speed. "You're wrong," I tell him, pressing a hand to my wound, feeling the blood seep between my fingers. I was a monster playing at being a king. With a surge of determination, I lunge forward, catching Alexei off guard. We crash through the stairwell door, away from Mara and Chloe, tumbling down half a flight of stairs before I pin him against the railing. I should have done this centuries ago. I growl, feeling the hunger rise, demanding blood to heal the silver's damage. Alexei struggles, but I'm beyond his strength now, fueled by something more powerful than the council's authority or the hunger's demands. "They'll send others," he warns. "The council won't let you go. The throne can find another occupant," I finish for him. I abdicate. His eyes widen with genuine shock. You can't. The ritual can be performed in absentia. I tighten my grip on his throat. You will return to the council with my decision. I am no longer their king. I renounce the throne and all its privileges. They'll kill you for this, he hisses. They can try. I lean closer, letting him see the full extent of my resolve. But first, they'll have to find me. And if they come near Mara or Chloe, if they so much as think about harming them, I will tear the council apart, stone by stone. I release him abruptly, watching as he staggers against the railing. The silver in my system makes me dizzy, but I remain standing through sheer will. Go, I command, summoning the last vestiges of my royal authority. Tell them Julian Vane is dead. The Vampire King is no more. Alexei hesitates, calculation evident in his cold eyes. For a moment I think he might attack again, might force me to kill him. But self-preservation wins out. With a stiff nod, he descends the stairs, his footsteps fading until the heavy door at the bottom closes with a decisive thud. I lean against the wall, the adrenaline fading, leaving me weak and trembling. The silver burns like acid in my veins. I need to remove it, need blood to heal, but first, Julian. Mara stands at the top of the stairs, alone. Her face is pale, her eyes wide, but she's not running. Not yet. You should go back inside. I manage, my voice rough with pain. Lock your door. She takes a step down toward me instead. You're hurt. It's nothing. I lie, trying to straighten, to appear stronger than I feel. Don't. She takes another step. Don't lie to me, not now. I meet her gaze, seeing fear there. Yes, but also determination. And something else. Something I hardly dare name. What are you? She asks, her voice barely above a whisper. The question I've dreaded since the moment I first saw her. The truth I've hidden for centuries from everyone except those who already knew. I think you know, I answer softly. She swallows hard, her pulse quickening. I can hear it, even from here. Vampire, she says, the word hanging between us like a judgment. I nod once, not trusting myself to speak. And, king? She continues, her brow furrowing. Former king, I correct, wincing as a fresh wave of pain radiates from the wound. As of about 2 minutes ago. Her eyes drop to my side, where blood darkens my shirt. You need help. Not the kind you can give, I tell her gently. I need to remove the silver, and then I need blood. She flinches slightly at the word, but doesn't retreat. Silver? Like in the movies? Despite everything, I find myself smiling. Some clichés exist for a reason. She takes another step down, now close enough that I can smell her perfume, mingling with the scent of fear and, impossibly, concern. Will you die? Not from this, I assure her. But I need to leave, Mara. It's not safe for you or Chloe if I stay. Because of that man? The council? I nod. They won't be pleased with my career change. She studies me for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then, to my astonishment, she comes the rest of the way down the stairs and slips her arm around my waist, careful to avoid the wound. Lean on me, she instructs. We need to get that thing out of you. Mara, Chloe is with Mrs. Abernathy across the hall, she interrupts. We have time to figure this out. I want to argue, want to insist that she take Chloe and run as far from me as possible. But the silver weakens me further with each passing minute, and I find myself leaning against her, accepting her support as she helps me back up the stairs. In her apartment, she guides me to the couch, easing me down with surprising gentleness. What do I need to do? She asks, practical despite the extraordinary circumstances. The stake, I grimace, indicating my side. It needs to come out. Then I need blood to heal. She pales slightly, but nods. I'll get my first aid kit. Don't go anywhere. As if I could. The silver poison spreads through me, making my vision blur at the edges. I focus on breathing, unnecessary but calming, as I hear her rummaging in the bathroom. When she returns, her hands are full. First aid kit, towels, a determined expression. This is going to hurt, she warns, kneeling beside me. I've had worse, I assure her, though few pains compare to silver poisoning. She takes a deep breath, then grasps the protruding end of the stake. With one swift, decisive movement, she pulls it free. I can't suppress the groan that escapes me, the sound more animal than human. I'm sorry, she whispers, pressing a towel against the wound. Don't be, I manage, feeling the immediate relief as the silver leaves my system. The wound still burns, but the spreading poison retreats. You did well. She works in silence for a moment, cleaning the wound with antiseptic that stings but can't harm me. Then she sits back on her heels, looking at me with those perceptive eyes. You need blood, she states flatly. I nod, not trusting myself to speak. The hunger rises, sharpened by injury and the scent of her so close. She pushes up her sleeve, extending her wrist toward me. Take mine. The offer stuns me into stillness. Mara, no. You need it to heal. Not yours, I insist, though every instinct screams at me to accept. Never yours. Why not? She challenges. Because you care about me? Because you care about Chloe? I meet her gaze steadily. Yes. She doesn't withdraw her wrist. Then take it, because we care about you too. The simple declaration undoes me more thoroughly than the silver ever could. 5 centuries of existence, and nothing has prepared me for this moment. For the courage of this woman offering her lifeblood not out of fear or coercion, but out of care. It will create a connection, I warn her. A bond. I know, she says, though she can't possibly understand the full implications. I'm choosing this, Julian. I'm choosing you. With trembling fingers, I take her wrist, feeling the pulse beneath the delicate skin. I won't take much, I promise. Just enough to heal. She nods, her eyes never leaving mine as I bring her wrist to my mouth. I kiss the skin first, a gesture of reverence, of gratitude. Then, as gently as possible, I let my fangs pierce the vein. Her blood flows into me, warm and sweet and vibrant with life. With it comes flashes of her. Childhood memories, fears, hopes, dreams. I see Chloe as an infant, feel Mara's fierce love, her determination to give her daughter a better life than her own. I feel her loneliness, her struggle, her quiet strength. And I feel the moment she first saw me, the instant recognition, the inexplicable trust, the growing affection. I taste her fear when she saw my true nature, and the courage it took to overcome it. I take only what I need, then carefully seal the wounds with a sweep of my tongue. The effect is immediate. My own wound begins to close, strength returning to my limbs, clarity to my thoughts. Thank you, I whisper, still holding her wrist, unwilling to break the connection. She touches my face with her free hand, her fingers tracing the contours as if seeing me for the first time. Your eyes, she murmurs. They're different. I know what she sees. The hunger satisfied, the predator retreating, leaving only the man. Or what remains of the man after 5 centuries of darkness. Is it over? She asks. With the council? I shake my head slowly. No. They won't accept my abdication easily. There will be Consequences. What kind of consequences? They'll send others, I admit. Not right away. Alexei will deliver my message, and they'll need time to process it, to select a new king, but eventually they'll come looking for me. Looking to bring you back, or to ensure I can't challenge their authority. I don't sugarcoat it. She deserves the truth, all of it. Which means you and Chloe could be in danger as long as I'm near you. Understanding dawns in her eyes. You're leaving. I have to, I tell her, the words like ashes in my mouth. To keep you safe. She withdraws her hand from mine, and I feel the loss like a physical pain. But instead of moving away, she shifts closer. What if I don't want safe? She asks, her voice soft but determined. What if I want you? The words send a shiver through me, hope and fear tangling in my chest. Mara, I know it's crazy, she continues. I know you're not human. I know there's danger. But Chloe and we've been alone for so long, and then you came into our lives. And for the first time, it felt like... Like what? I prompt when she hesitates. Like home, she finishes simply. Like we found where we belong. I close my eyes, overwhelmed by emotions I thought long dead. I can't ask you to put yourself in danger, to put Chloe in danger. You're not asking, I'm offering. She takes my hand, placing it over her heart. We could leave together, go somewhere the council wouldn't look, start over. The possibility unfolds before me, a life with Mara and Chloe, away from the politics and bloodshed of the vampire world, a family after centuries of solitude. It wouldn't be easy, I warn her. We'd have to be careful, move frequently perhaps, live quietly. We're good at living quietly, she says with a small smile, and Chloe's adaptable. Speaking of Chloe, I say, the most important question still unanswered. How will you explain what I am? Mara considers this. She already thinks you're magical, she points out, and she's seen more than most adults would believe. We'll tell her the truth, a version of it anyway, that you're different, special, that there are people who don't understand, who might want to hurt you, that we need to protect each other. And when she asks why I don't age, the inevitable question that comes with loving mortals. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, Mara says pragmatically. One impossible thing at a time. A knock at the door interrupts us. Mara tenses, but I shake my head. It's not them, I assure her, recognizing the scent. It's your neighbor, with Chloe. She relaxes slightly, then looks down at my blood-stained shirt. You should... I'll wait in the bedroom, I agree, rising from the couch with renewed strength. Take your time. I listen from the other room as Mara thanks Mrs. Abernathy, as Chloe chatters excitedly about the cookies they baked, as the door closes and locks behind them. Julian, Chloe calls immediately. Are you still here? Did you fight the bad man? I emerge from the bedroom, having discarded my ruined shirt. Chloe runs to me, wrapping her arms around my waist without hesitation. You're okay, she exclaims, looking up at me with those trusting eyes. Mom said you got hurt. I kneel down to her level, searching her face for any sign of fear or doubt. There is none. Only relief and that inexplicable acceptance that children sometimes offer so freely. I did, I tell her honestly. But I'm better now. She nods, as if this is perfectly reasonable. Was he a bad vampire, like in my book? I glance at Mara, who shrugs helplessly. I didn't tell her anything, she mouths. Looking back at Chloe, I choose my words carefully. What makes you think he was a vampire? She rolls her eyes with the exasperation only a child can muster. Because you're a vampire, silly. I've known for ages. Mara makes a choked sound somewhere between a laugh and a gasp. Chloe, honey, it's okay, Mom, Chloe assures her. Julian's a good vampire. He protects us from the monsters under the bed, remember? I find myself smiling despite everything. And how did you figure out I was a vampire? She counts off on her fingers. You never eat food. You only come at night. You talk like people in old movies. And she leans in conspiratorially. I saw your teeth that time when you yawned. Very observant, I commend her, oddly proud of her deductive skills. Are we in danger? She asks, suddenly serious. From the bad vampires? I look to Mara, letting her take the lead. She comes to kneel beside us, taking Chloe's hand. We might need to move away for a while, she explains gently. To somewhere safer. With Julian, if that's okay with you. Chloe's face lights up. Like a vacation? Sort of, Mara agrees. But for longer. We might need to change schools, make new friends. Chloe considers this, her brow furrowing in thought. Then she turns to me. Will you tell me vampire stories? Real ones, not the silly ones in books? If your mother approves. I hedge, glancing at Mara. Only the not scary ones, Mara stipulates. Chloe nods solemnly. Then I think it's a good plan. When do we leave? Soon, I tell her, the urgency of our situation reasserting itself. Very soon. Later, after Chloe is asleep and Mara has packed the essentials, we stand at her window, looking out at the city lights. Arthur has been contacted, arrangements made. By tomorrow night, we'll be gone. New identities, new destination, new life. Are you sure about this? I ask Mara one last time. It's not too late to change your mind. She turns to me, her face half illuminated by the streetlight outside. I've never been more sure of anything, she says. Wherever you go, we go. The three of us together. I draw her into my arms, marveling at the warmth of her, the trust she places in me. 5 centuries of existence, and only now do I understand what it means to truly live. Together, I agree, sealing the promise with a kiss. Outside, the city sleeps, unaware of the ancient power that has abdicated his throne, the king who chose love over immortal glory. In the bedroom, Chloe dreams of adventures to come, secure in the knowledge that her monster under the bed will keep the real monsters at bay. And in my arms, Mara sighs contentedly, her heartbeat strong and steady against my chest. A rhythm I will protect with everything I am, everything I was, everything I will become. The hunger still lives within me, will always live within me. But now it shares space with something stronger, something the council could never understand. Home, family, love. The night wraps around us like a cloak, and for the first time in 500 years, I welcome the darkness not as a hunting ground, but as a sanctuary. Not as a king, but as a man. Not alone, but beloved.